Welcome everyone for Bharat Electronics Q4 21 results discussion. So we have with us the management of Bharat Electronics represented by Mr. Gautama, Chairman and Managing Director, Ms. Anandi Ramalingam, Director Marketing, Mr. Batra, Director Finance, and Mr. Srinivas, Company Secretary. So we will start with a brief opening remarks from the management, post which then we will open up the floor for Q&A. As far as the Q&A is concerned, kindly press the raise hand icon next to your name in the participant list, and my colleague Sandesh will call out your name on a first come basis, and then you can unmute yourself and ask your question. So over to the management, sir, and congratulations on a great set of numbers.
Thank you, Mr. Donas, and thanks for organizing this investor meet also. First of all, friends, we had a very tough situation with lockdowns imposed due to COVID pandemic. Many customers who were supposed to come and visit us were unable to do the visits and accept our inventory. In spite of that, the best possible effort we have put in, and we were able to achieve a great turnover. So we have grown in turnover by about 9.6%. We promised you in the beginning of the year that we will have a double-digit growth, and we were very near to it. Had it been a normal situation, we might have crossed certainly the double-digit growth of 10+%. We also have given you a good guidance on EBITDA margins. So we had grown from 2,730 crores in 1920 to 3,181 crores in 2021. The growth is about 16.5%. We were giving you a guidance of something like 18 to 20. So I am sure we are able to achieve much more than that. Then profit before tax has increased from 2,479 crores in 1920 to 2,934 crores in 2021. The increase is about 18.38%. And PAT also has gone up by 15.14% for the overall year. The PBT to turnover ratio has increased from 19.66 in 1920 to 21.24% now. For the first time, we have crossed 10,000 crore net worth. Our net worth today stands at 10,807 crores. The book value of share has gone up from 40.44 rupees to 44.36 rupees. Similarly, EPS has gone up from 7.36 in rupees in 1920 to 8.48 rupees in 2021. We earlier declared two interim dividends of 1 rupee 40 paisa per share. So that is 2 rupee 80 paisa interim dividend we declared earlier. And yesterday board has recommended another 1 rupee 20 paisa final dividend. So that means for every 1 rupee face value share, the 4 rupees dividend is being paid by the company this year, subject to approval by AGM. The entire working capital is managed by our finance group very efficiently through internal accruals. We have met the inventory target. We achieved about 130 days as against 117 in previous year, but this is expected due to various reasons. You are also aware that there were many fast track procurements required by services, and these fast tracks, based on the indications given, we started getting the material at our own cost. So and hence inventory was a little higher, and I am sure that all this inventory will be liquidated in next 1 to 2 quarters. The trade receivables stands at 173 days as against previous year's 195. We did a marvelous thing this year. We had highest ever collection of 18,000 crores thanks to efforts from our Director Marketing and Director Finance. However, we will be working again for that this year also. We have more than 6,000 crores of debt spending with various customers. The capital expenditure, in spite of COVID situation, where many of the contractors were unable to bring in labor. There was a migrant labor issue also. So, in spite of all that, we were able to achieve about 460 crores of capex. We were initially expecting nearly to 500 crores. It is not that shortfall. Then we had a R&D expenditure of about 873 crores, and here also a couple of projects could not be completed, spent on time due to the pandemic situation. Now we are standing with a very good order book of about 54,000 crores at this point of time. And let me begin our expectations for the coming year by saying that we are quite confident that this year we will have a double-digit growth, which will be between 15 to 17% in our expectation. And we also expect EBITDA margins this time on a much higher side. We will be aiming between 20 to 22%. And I also expect order acquisition. We have very strong order acquisition this year. We expect 15 to 17,000 crores of order acquisition this year. The details are the sections where we are likely to get. Our director marketing will be giving you the brief. So with this opening, I feel we are poised for our double-digit growth story, much stronger than what it was last year, last 2 years, in fact, due to pandemic. We have taken up new products this year. In healthcare, we have got already order for 25,000 the oxygen concentrators from ONGC. We are going to deliver the first lot end of this month, and we will be completing in next 2 months. And we expect this product to have much more larger quantity orders coming in future. The COVID third wave is also expected, wherein probably even every household may have to have an oxygen concentrator. So we are going to bring a best value for your money in oxygen concentrator. Similarly, this year we have tied up with Renalex company for manufacturing dialysis machines. This also will be a very good medical electronic product that will be coming out from Bharat Electronics. And there is a huge demand for dialysis machines all through India. And we hope we'll be establishing a big market for this product also. So this is on diversification. Last year we already entered into ammunition products, and we have already got a good order for ammunition based product from one of the defense service. So we have really diversified into different areas, which will be the key drivers for Bharat Electronics to catch up double-digit growth in the coming years. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your remarks. Before we open up the floor for Q&A, I would want to thank Mr. Gautama, and probably this is his last public conference as CMD of BEL. So just wanted to thank him and congratulate him on the great results that the company has shown under him over the last 5 years. And sir, wish you all the best for your future endeavors.
Thank you. Thank you.
We can start the Q&A. So the first question comes from Ankur Sharma. Ankur, you can unmute yourself and please ask the question.
Yeah, hi sir, good morning. I hope I'm audible.
Yeah, you are audible, okay. Mr. Ankur.
Great, sir. So thank you so much for your time. Actually, first I had two requests. One, if you could possibly have these analyst calls maybe every quarter or half year, that would be great, so that kind of helps us understand the numbers a lot better, straight from your side. So that was one. And secondly, on the balance sheet side also, if you could start disclosing, like you disclose every half year and full year, the details of debtors, creditors, all of those cash balances. I think post the Ind AS transition, we've kind of started clubbing all these numbers together. So it makes it very difficult to analyze these numbers, without talking to you. So those are my two requests before
Yeah.
I kind of, if you could just have.
Good suggestion. Good suggestion, Mr. Ankur. We certainly would love to meet you at least twice in a year. Quarterly may not be possible, but we can do twice in a year investor meet where we can explain the position, where we stand with respect to the set targets and what are the strategies the management is going to have for the future growth. The second point, we are compliant to the SEBI guidelines in terms of our quarterly results. But some of the additional information, what you are looking for, etc., that also we can consider in bringing out a better format in which we can share the numbers with you. So unfortunately, Bharat Electronics being a defense company, and we are the main source for the country for self-reliance and indigenization in electronic equipment required by the defense services. We still have large dependency on nominated orders from the government. And here government is market creator for us, and at the end government also has to pay. So sometimes we will not be able to bring out details which will look as if we are complaining against our own government, and thanks to them only we were able to get some of the products nominated to us. So we have to balance it out. So regarding disclosures, probably we should think over and then bring out a format up to which we can disclose. But coming to your suggestion, where we can meet and explain to you face to face, we can have 2 investors meets in a year, 6 monthly.
Sure.
That we will ensure.
Wonderful.
I would just add to this. In fact, management is very conscious of continuous monitoring of the Sundry debts. And as CMD told, the last year we could do collection of more than 18,000 crores, which was a sort of a record collection. And I am very happy to share with you all that consequent to that, today our cash reserves on 31st March is more than 5,000 crores, and the cash from operations has also gone very substantially. So we are continuously monitoring these, and we are very conscious of the collections and our other monitoring parameters.
Great. Good to know that, sir. So thank you so much. Well, just my first question was, when I look at your FY21 orders, close to about 14,000 crores, and similarly, your top line. I'm sorry, your orders are at 15,000. Your top line at about close to 14,000 crores. And your order book being largely flattish YOY, while you're talking of a 15-17% kind of a growth for next year. So I'm just trying to understand, and even next year, you again said maybe another 15,000 odd crores of orders. So your orders are broadly equal to your sales, but you're still talking of a double-digit growth. So is it that the execution cycle has come down substantially, which gives you that confidence? I'm just trying to understand what's driving that top-line growth despite order book not growing as much.
No, first and foremost, our order book, in fact, if you see last 4 years, the growth in order book is much more than the growth in the revenues. So first and foremost, so we are able to get the confidence of different customers, diversified customers, and we were able to grow in all sectors.
Right.
So that is the first thing. And even now, we are getting orders more than our deliveries. So there is always a backlog in order for us. So that gives a comfortable situation in planning and executing it. The second is how are we able to manage the much faster growth than what it used to be earlier. So first and foremost, we have regrouped BEL into different verticals. Earlier we were small number of strategic business units. So today we are operating 24 focused strategic business units within BEL. So that is the first key driver for the success and faster growth rate, because the manpower resources are focused and deployed for a purpose. The second is the government has brought in various schemes encouraging private participation in defense.
Yeah.
So the public procurement policy, the GFR 2020, etc., are drivers for us to engage much better private participation in our growth story. And today we are one defense PSU who has about 21,000 partnerships live and kicking. So today we are able to identify better supply chain partner, still having core value addition within the company for all the products what we are doing. So we are retaining the IP, but all other requirements we are able to outsource. So if you see our human resource cost, we were able to bring it down less than 15% for the first time.
Yeah.
Today, in every rupee, 14.4% is our human resource expenditure. So that is one of the key driver for success and faster growth rate. We believe in the India's growth story, very widely popularized, and we are able to support the industry, and industry is able to support us back.
Okay. Okay. And okay, helpful. And just a second question to Director Marketing on the expected orders, in FY22, which would be the larger orders that you are looking at? Yeah, that's all from my side.
Yeah. See, I will broadly tell you the segment wise. Of course, we are not able to mention the actual programs, but in the army segment, we are expecting about 4,000 to 5,000 crores of order. In naval segment, about 3,000 to 4,000. In Air Force, about 8 to 10,000. And non-defense around 3,000. So it is actually little more than 17,000, but then we are, even if we take a probability of 90% of all this maturing, it will come to around 17,000 crores. So lot of leads are in place. Some of the PNCs have got concluded last year, which we expect to get the order in the current, maybe current quarter. And further, by the end of the year, we are sure to cross about 17,000 crores.
And ma'am, this includes the QR SAM?
I will just expand. You are aware the Army Akash program, the 2 regiments, Army is about to place the order, and we are likely to get this anytime now. So there is a big order. We will be getting it through Bharat Dynamics, BDL. They are the lead integrators. So there is one program which is well aware for all the investors. Now, other than that, there are large number of electronic warfare systems for which we have concluded negotiations, and they are at different approval stage for signing the contract. The draft contracts are submitted to the users, and we expect the contracts to come in shortly. So they are going to add huge value to us. Coming to your question on QR SAM is under user evaluation right now. And as you are aware, the user evaluation of Army takes at summertime, winter time, then they do it in desert, high altitude. So they have to plan the exercise along with the regular exercise of Army. So dovetailing of our equipment trials along with their other plans has to be done. But right now, equipment is under user evaluation, and so far all the trials done are highly successful.
Yeah.
So we are confident that before the year, that is financial year closure, March 2022, we expect QR SAM trials will be completed. Whereas the order may not be placed by 2022, it will come in 22-23.
So just to add to that, Army is trying to take an approval for the AON for this particular program. So as CMD said, it will surely, we hope that it will materialize at least by March 23.
Ankur, can you just join back in the queue for more questions, as we have a long queue?
No, I'm done. Thank you.
The next question is from Bhavin Vitlani. Bhavin, you can unmute yourself, please.
Thank you for the opportunity, and congratulations for a great set of numbers. So my question is on the working capital. A commendable job indeed by bringing down. But if we go back in history, BEL used to work on a negative working capital cycle. Do you see a possibility of these days coming back, or maybe do you see a headroom for improvement in what we have achieved in the current financial year?
See, so far my memory goes, we were never on negative working capital, at least in the last 2 to 4 years. And working capital continuously is improving. As you see, the Sunday debtors have come down, cash reserves have gone up, inventory is slightly higher, but that is definitely going to help us in faster execution of all those emergency procurement order which we got in the fag end of the last year. And today, in fact, we are operating at the current ratio of 1.41. And the biggest advantage with us is that all our working capital needs we are able to fulfill through our internal accruals. So it doesn't bring us any extra cost. So working capital is quite strong. That's what I feel.
So,
okay, if analysts normally see on a quarter to quarter basis.
Yeah.
So you see some of the quarters, probably yes, your concern was genuine. But let me again tell you that we are still government-owned company, and the government has to make provisions for various unexpected requirements, especially during a pandemic of a century kind of situation. So because of that also, sometimes the expected payment cycle from our clients misses, and we will be in some quarters we may be a little stressed. But let me assure you that as of now we are a zero debt company, and we would like to continue with that because of the strong cash reserves what we have got. But in a situation where we are forced to go for debt, we are not look back for taking debt if required for a short term.
In fact, our philosophy is very simple, which is of course is a good economic principle as well, that long-term assets we want to finance through the long-term finances. This current assets, etc., we will be fulfilling through our internal accruals, and we are highly liquid. If you see our quick ratio, that is also 1.1. And I would put across, BL cannot be evaluated from quarter to quarter. Like some very large programs, so over the year it keeps on getting the WIP and all. In the final quarter, when we come to see this final quarter, we have done almost 6,570 crores sales. So that will also put some Sunday debtors on the high side when the years is closing. But then we start collecting in the first quarter and the second quarter. So BEL is rightly evaluated if we see the complete annual performance.
Sure. So the second question is, globally we are seeing massive inflation in the commodities, all metals. Secondly, many companies have been talking about shortages of semiconductors and electronic parts. But we are guiding for strong double-digit growth and margin expansion. So it will be useful to understand how are we been able to mitigating these strong inflationary trends and strong supply chain bottlenecks.
See, the kind of product range and the high technology segment we operate. So this commodity prices increase or fluctuation, it doesn't affect us that much. And the core strength of BL is our indigenous developments. So with the continuously development through our very high investments in our research and development, and having our own setups like Central Research Laboratories, Product Development Innovation Center, etc., it's our endeavor that continuously we are increasing the indigenization and the material and relying less on imports. Our contribution is increasing because of those things. Sometimes what happens when we contract, that time there are many import content was there which have been considered. Later on, while the execution, our R&D team, which is almost 50% of our manpower, so they are bringing down the contribution more by reducing reliance on the import and our own indigenous product. So that's the reason that we are able to increase the margins, and which we'll keep on doing year on year. And this commodity prices, the metal is going up and all, that doesn't affect much.
Thank you. Just last question.
Certainly, I would like to add here, certainly we take from your question a word of caution. Yes, the pandemic may create such a panic scenario all over the world because it's a global shutdown. It is not just shutdown in India. So there is a large number of large industries where the chip manufacturing is happening. They are also under shutdown or performing at a reduced scale of operations. So certainly it is going to hit the semiconductor industry as days go by. And second is, it also depends on how fast the 5G deployment will happen in many of the countries. So the semiconductor consumption will be driven by the 5G requirement, in my opinion. And if many of the countries, due to pandemic and their revised objectives, their ability to spend on 5G comes down, then probably the situation will not be a problem for BEL. But in case, in spite of pandemic, all the countries in the globe start looking forward for changing to 5G, I can tell you there will be a scarcity of chipsets which we need for building the military grade product. So that is going to be a terrible situation for us. The only solution for that is India should come up with its own foundry. The government is still trying to find a good industry partner, which will happen. BEL is keen to partner with any industry partner in establishing a foundry in the country. So we are also keen to join them and make that a successful program. So ultimately, self-reliance will come when we create a foundry for our own in the country.
In fact, just on this, what CMD said, when I replied, it was basically on the metal prices and all. Of course, semiconductor is one of our key inputs. So, of course, we will be keeping a close eye on that. But on the other side, like we, as you all know, that BEL is entering into the electric vehicle segment. Now, one of the key inputs for this electric vehicle segment is the lithium-ion, the batteries and cells. We have already entered for making the battery packs. Now, we are on lookout to set up our own indigenous plant making the lithium-ion cells. Now, when these get metallized, we will be going for we are not shying off, as CMD said, of the loans, and we will be financing because their investment is in the tune of 500 to 1,000 crores. So we will be going for those. So there also, once we make this indigenously, we will be able to mitigate the risk of all that the supply chain disruptions because of the China and other and this the EV cells, the price variation will take place in the country.
So just last question from my side. On a 3-year basis, if you could highlight what are the key programs that we could expect, and if you could put a value on that, that will be really helpful.
In a 3-year cycle time, if we see, we expect one of the biggest growth coming to us is from electronic warfare segment, where we expect orders to the tune of 12 to 15,000 crores to happen. And this year itself, we are expecting in a very big way for the EW segment. The second comes is weapon segment, where Akash, QRSAM, LRSAM, MRSAM programs are there. That's going to be to the tune of 25 to 30,000 crore we expect in the next 3 years. The third segment is going to be the naval equipment, consisting of surveillance radars, fire control radars, sonars, combat management system, navigation system, communication systems, and etc. For both submarines and future category of ships. And we expect anywhere between 15 to 20,000 crore worth orders coming in that particular segment. So these are the 3 major verticals which will be the major growth drivers. Then we have very strong presence in homeland security and smart city. So we have 5,000 plus crore backlog orders in that particular segment. And we have established our own complete in-house developed command control software for both homeland security as well as smart city segment. And I am sure in the coming years, this also will become a negative import list product, thereby giving us an advantage. Thereafter, the government is looking for expanding metros. So we are working on many products in metro. I am very happy to tell you that the first new line of metro, our automated fare collection gate has been approved, and we are beginning to market the product. We are nominated because we have got the complete accreditations required for selling that product. So we are qualified for that. So in metro, we have invested huge amount in the command control, communication based metro gates, etc. All these things are going to be the growth drivers for BEL.
Thank you so much. Sorry, sir, please continue.
What CMD explained, the main segment which is coming from the defense, but in the medium term, BEL has plans to roll out various segments in the civil side, and we want to come, our turnover to come 75% from defense and the 25% from the civil segment.
Incidentally, we are getting a very big order for EVM VVPAT for the 2024 election. The order expected is around 2,000 crores. Then if all political parties agree for simultaneous polls for assembly and parliament, we expect much bigger order for supplying new EVMs and VVPAT. And we know very well that the M1 series, we have delivered last time the third generation EVM. The first generation EVM is removed from the service, and it is completely condemned or destroyed by the election commission. So with that, the current shortfall is being ordered. But in case simultaneous polls have to be held, we expect a very big order coming from election commission.
Thank you so much for taking my question. Best wishes.
So we have the next question from Renu Bed. Renu, you can unmute yourself and please ask your question.
Yeah. Hi, good morning, gentlemen, and congratulations for strong results. My first question is, can we have some update in terms of execution of the large projects, specifically LRSAM as well as Akash missiles? LRSAM, it's been almost 18 months. So where are we in terms of execution? And do we see any headwinds in terms of supply chain coming in from Israel for this project? And similar for Akash missiles as well.
Yeah. First is, I'm very happy to tell you, in spite of COVID situation, the first deliveries of Akash missile happened before March. So the 7th squadron order, what we have taken, we started executing it, and the revenue recognition happened for the first quarter out of that. And I'm very confident that this year we are planning to do at least 2 squadrons minimum, and we are aiming to do 3 squadrons. So this is going to be the faster delivery schedule for Akash, what we are able to establish. Coming to LRSAM, we have a good amount of deliveries done in LRSAM. The project is a continuous indigenization program. So every ship set will have certain equipment indigenously produced and delivered, apart from the import content. So last year we were able to deliver material on time as on today, and we expect this year the indigenization is going to be much higher than what it was last year. So typically we will be touching 45% towards 45% of indigenization in the deliveries of this year.
Totally, we might have 2,500.
We have
totally both years
both put together in the 13,818 crores of revenues. Both put together, we had about 2,000 crores of revenue coming from these two programs.
Sure.
So deliveries are on schedule. Deliveries are on schedule in spite of the COVID pandemic, transport issues between our collaborator in Israel and India. In spite of that, we were able to manage well. We found mitigation techniques in getting the material on time and delivering it, finishing the product to the required specification and delivering it.
In fact, the Bell biggest success demonstration of capability has been how we have taken, despite all the disruptions of COVID, we have continuously grown. And the testimonial to this was when we got a 30,000 ventilator order at the peak of the COVID of first wave. And within 5 to 6 months, not only we established all supply logistics and delivered 30,000 ventilators we delivered. So that has proven and shown to the country the capability of BL in execution.
Sure. So my second question is, can we elaborate a bit more on the services performance in FY21? How was it in terms of YOY growth and percentage of sales? And also in terms of the export outlook, how was the performance in FY21? And given that there has been significant thrust on increasing exports where Bell has been working for various international projects, how do we see that segment of the business growing?
Yeah, I'll request Director Marketing, Madam Anandi, to respond. But before that, I would like to put one thing. This is a good opportunity for me to share my thoughts. A lot of negativity is written about our exports to Myanmar. So we got in 2017, we started working for coastal surveillance system in Myanmar. This is for protecting the Indian Ocean from various threats, and it is a very defensive system. So the coastal surveillance system consists of radar as a sensor, electro-optic camera as a sensor, and marine band communication equipment to caution any vessel that is encroaching into the waters of a particular country. So it is only a defensive system. It doesn't have any weaponry associated with it. Recently, a couple of reports have come or articles have come saying that somebody like Justice for Myanmar, etc., saying that Bell should not do export. So these are all negative sentiments that are being told. Second is our system is configured with an open architecture. So this is a unique intellectual property of Bell. We developed it over time, and our system doesn't depend on any export license controlled equipment going into it. So we build it with readily available COTS solutions, which are cheaper, and smaller countries will be able to afford having a state-of-the-art system meeting their requirement at a very low price. So that is a unique architecture what Bell has developed. The entire command control software is from Bell. So we started the deliveries as per the contract in spite of the COVID, in spite of the political unrest. The contract came to us during the civil administration. When the democratically elected government was there, it is duly approved and given, and hence we are duty bound to execute that contract. So incidentally, we have this year very good revenue coming from exports. I request my Director Marketing to take happiness in briefing you about this.
So last year, of course, we did around $51.81 million of export. And this year we are targeting about not less than $60 million. And as you are aware, we have opened many of our overseas marketing offices, and these have all started giving results. So we have been participating in many tenders. There are strong leads available. Right now, the order book from export is about 1,200 crores. But we are expecting another 100 million to get added by the end of this financial year. And we hope that exports will also grow in the same range of 15 to 20% on a year-on-year basis. But as CMD was telling, of course, there are, all this is subject to getting approvals from the government, because most of them are defense equipment. So whenever we ask for some approvals, they normally ask us to dilute some specifications, which again takes a little bit of time for us to ensure that is done, and then the approvals taken on time. So the orders have started flowing in, but I'm sure from now onwards there will be no look back, and we'll be able to do substantially well. Hope that answers your question, Renu.
Yeah, and ma'am, on services also, how was the performance of services?
Yeah, services, I think we have crossed 10% last year. 10% was the contribution by services last year. Yeah. And same will continue, 10 to 12% will continue. Maybe a little more because of all these ventilators and oxygen concentrators and all. It may come to 10 to 12%.
Sure. Thank you so much. And I have a couple of questions, but I'll get back in the queue. Thank you, everyone, and all the best.
Sure,
Thank you.
sure. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah. The next question is from the line of Mr. Kirti. So you can unmute your line and ask the question.
Thanks a lot for the opportunity, sir. My first question is with regard to our order inflow for the next 2 years. So over a block of 2 years, given that QRSAM opportunity will also start to come in, can we expect that in next 2 years, the block of 2 years, a 50,000 crores kind of order flow? Do we expect that?
Yes, we can expect, but then see, the QRSAM program is such a huge program, so it all depends on the budget availability with the government. What the government, the army is trying to take the necessary approvals, but we really don't know whether they will place the order on one go. So they are now targeting 4 regiments. They may do it regiment by regiment. So we are still holding on to a little conservative figure that this year it will be around 17,000 and next year maybe around 20,000. So let us see. It all depends on the budget which they get, and then maybe we will have a better picture.
And I would just add to it, as we are in the time which is quite fluid. So depending on how the economy recovers,
Correct.
so this what Director Marketing told, around 37,000 crores, it can only be better. Yeah.
True. That's why I said it's a conservative figure.
Yes.
Okay. Sir, my next question is with regard to our non-defense initiatives. From single digit, we want to grow to 20%. What has been the progress in rail, in terms of space, in terms of aerospace, in terms of metro and healthcare? All these 5 areas. Can you give a line or two each? What is the progress we are doing, and how the growth is ramping up in each of these stages? It would be great, sir.
Yeah. I'll come back in the reverse order. First is healthcare. Healthcare today, we are an established supply chain partner for HLL and Ministry of Health. So they believed in the capability of BEL in producing any proven design healthcare product. So ventilators is one good example. We made the first set of 30,000 ventilator based on design from Messrs. Scanray, Mysore. We thank them for making us knowledgeable in designing a ventilator today. So the next ventilator is going to be from BEL, and it will be a world class, meeting all the best ventilator performance on par and still affordable. So we will be continuously present in that. So we added this year in healthcare 2 products. The first product where we got orders is 25,000 numbers of oxygen concentrators, which we are going to deliver. The second product is hemodialysis machine. As I told, this dialysis machine, we have taken technology transfer from Renalix, and the first models are likely to come in another 1.5 to 2 months time. So medical is going to grow much bigger than what we originally thought of, and we are very happy that we are able to service the current pandemic situation. The second is coming to metro. We have signed MOU with Delhi Metro Corporation, and we are now a design and development partner to them. So there are various projects which are jointly funded by both Delhi Metro and BEL. BEL board has given approval, based on which we are going to release for all future metros complete indigenous equipment and products. And also the other metros which were established a couple of years back with some of the imported equipment, they all require midlife upgrade or replacement, and that we are going to do with the indigenization. So we have automated fare collection, we have communication based doors, and we have got automated train traffic control system and so forth. So these products are going to be standard, and they will be certainly put in negative import list, like what the Defense Ministry has done even for the metros. Incidentally, the point of sale machine, we have completed trials with the Bombay Transport Corporation, and we are sure that this year we will be able to introduce handheld POS machine for automatic fare collection. This is part of National Common Mobility Card. That is the initiative from government, that you have a mobility card. Anywhere in India, you can travel without any restriction. So we are part of that, and we are working for that. And we are tying up with SBI, an opportunity to make even the cards for them, smart cards for them. So we have put our growth opportunity in all the segments in that particular situation. The other civilian segment we are looking for very deeply is under e-vehicle. So we have signed MOU with HPCL, and this year we couple of HPCL outlets, we are going to have our own electric chargers being rolled out. Similarly, we are working with the e-vehicle manufacturers for introducing the batteries for the e-vehicles. And towards that, we started understanding the manufacturing of cells also, lithium cells. And we have already approved putting up of a pilot plant for manufacturing lithium cells with the indigenous technology available within the country. But we are not able to tie up with a good foreign TOT partner for establishing a large scale lithium battery cell and battery manufacturing for the e-vehicle. The next comes space segment. As you are aware, we are selected under EOI for competing for building PSLV rockets. So we are yet to submit the tender. We have got time to submit the tender. We are participating in the tender along with Adani and BEML, our sister PSU. So we have acquired 30 acres of land in Devanhalli Aerospace Park, and we are eyeing for taking up in a big way, assisting ISRO in both manufacturing satellite launch vehicles as well as satellites. So as on today, we have got contract from ISRO for building 4 satellites. 2 are completed. Third one is under progress, and I am sure that this year we will be completing both third and fourth one. Then coming to aerospace, we are already working very closely with HAL. Many of their products like helicopters come out with a couple of sensors coming from Bell. For example, the electro-optic sensor is a nominated project to Bell, and HAL funded us to establish a dedicated production line for them to give electro-optic sensors on board their helicopters. We are working with HAL on LCA project. The digital fly-by-wire computer is being manufactured by us and delivered. The air data computers are manufactured and delivered by us, and apart from other avionics. We are also now establishing a composite manufacturing facility in one of our plant in Navi Mumbai, wherein we have offered to work closely with the National Aeronautics Laboratory for manufacturing some more composite parts which are critical for the LCA program. So we are going to have much bigger growth in terms of aerospace supply. Incidentally, we have signed the order from Rosoboron Export for manufacturing hoses for avionics, helicopters, basically Russian helicopters, and we are also going to do the navigational equipment which are fitted on the Russian platforms in one of our SBU under the offset contract coming from Rosoboron. So these are the major. You are aware that we are there in Homeland Security and Smart City. Today we have completed more than 8 smart cities. They have gone live. They are in shortly. They are going to be handed over to the civilian administration for complete maintenance and day-to-day use. All these smart cities command control centers have been converted into COVID command control centers during the pandemic, and they have come very good use to the local administration. So we are also coming up with a different marketing strategy in smart city business, which we are in negotiation or discussion with Secretary Moa, and God willing, we will be expanding into smart cities in a much bigger way than what we were earlier.
Yeah, just to add to what CMD said, see, our focus on civilian market is so high that we have just nominated a general manager civilian market who sits in Delhi. And apart from whatever CMD said, we are also working very closely with Airport Authority to ensure that we are able to supply indigenous radars and other systems which they are currently importing. We are trying to put them all in the negative list so that whatever we manufacture gets fitted in all these new upcoming airports of India. And as CMD said, Homeland Security is again a lot of business is still increasing day by day. We recently got a letter of intent from ONGC for the Mumbai High perimeter security system with around 500 crores, and of course CCTV of Delhi Police also we are likely to conclude shortly. So we are confident that in the next 2 to 3 years, we'll be able to reach the target of 25% of our turnover coming from civilian business.
Last
Kirti, can you please, sorry,
Yeah.
Kirti, in interest of time, can you?
Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Next question we have from Sanjay Doshi. Sanjay, you can unmute your line, please. Sanjay? Since there's no response, maybe we'll move on to the next question. So the next question is from Sandeep Tulsian. Sandeep, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, a very good morning, gentlemen. My first question is pertaining to the employee costs. You briefly commented about it in your opening remarks also. They are actually lower on a year-on-year basis, and based on whatever revenue guidance we have given in the next 2 years, do you think the employee base would largely remain the same, as in the retirements will be more than the new hirees, or do you think the employee count also to go up in the same proportion as which the top line will increase? If you could give us a broad guidance how this will move.
We are shifting the employee competency levels more towards technology and more towards newer skills of manufacturing. So the employee base right now probably is lowest in the recent times, but we expect to add another 1,000 odd human resources in next 2 years time, because we are catching up on many fronts where we need newer competencies, like we are going for lithium cell manufacturing. We need a lot of chemical engineers in the process control and etc. So we will be recruiting them.
Yeah, in fact, as CMD said, in the number terms, we'll be increasing our the technical manpower. But so far as percentage of the our turnover is concerned, every year we are coming down because our growth on that side is higher, and ideally we need to reach around 12%.
Lot of outsourcing is also there.
Yeah, lot of outsourcing, etc. is also, that is a government plan also, that we should more and more function we should outsource to MSME sector. So every year we are coming down. Last year we were 16%, now 14%, and we want to settle around somewhere 12%.
We are shutting down some of our internal operations and going for outsourcing. For example, we used to have a huge number of officers doing internal audit function.
Yeah.
So slowly we started outsourcing internal audit function. There are good audit firms available from the outside, so who do a very good job. They are servicing the MNCs also. So we are utilizing their services so that our manpower can be shifted more towards technical side.
Okay. And so second question is.
Sorry, Sandeep, just in the interest of time, we just have about 10 minutes or left.
Sure.
So, yeah, please. Thanks. The next question is from Abhishek Poddar. Abhishek, you can unmute yourself.
Good morning and congratulations on good results. So one question regarding the regarding the indigenization. You had said that the contribution margin is imports coming down. Could you give some sense that what it was in 3 years back? What is the import component now, and how do you see that moving in 2 to 3 years time?
Import content.
Yeah. We have a MOU target with the Ministry of Defence in ensuring that the import content comes down year on year. The target specified for us, if I remember offhand, is about 10%. And the import content depends on mix of products which we are delivering that particular year. A year where we deliver a large number of LRSAM systems, the import content is quite naturally going to be quite high. The year where we deliver our own in-house design developed product like electronic voting machine, VVPAT, etc., the import content is going to be quite low. So it is going to swing based on the product content mix. So certainly what we are doing, as Madam Anandi Ramalingam brought out also, even Mr. Dinesh Patra, our Director of Finance, that what we are doing, we are having a very focused teams of concentrating on the high percentage of import content, and we started taking up indigenization with the effort of industry, with outsourcing, with collaborative partnership, and etc. Even with academia partnership. So with this, we are able to indigenize many products. Suppose we established, say, particular sensor network for a user using a foreign part, but the next order or expansion order, we are ensuring that the sensors are from well made, so that the import content comes down drastically. So I'm sure our target is typically around 10%. We need to cut down on import content year on year, and we are very near to that.
In fact, I would like to add, the country ecosystem is also supporting it. As you know, that the Ministry of Defence has come out with the two, whether it's a positive indigenization or negative import lays. And the GFR 2020 also says that less than 200 crores you cannot import, and or if it is very the compulsion is there, you have to take the permission. So the whole ecosystem, whatever is being imported now, people are being given, entrepreneurs are being given an opportunity to develop those indigenously. So our supply partner also, now they have a market that less than 200 crore you cannot import. So with all these government support and ecosystem being built up in the country, this by default this will keep on coming down.
In fact, we are very happy that the Ministry of Defence went ahead in declaring negative import lists. That gives more confidence for industries like BEL and our partners to invest money in continuous research in the products which are listed in that negative import list. So today we are freely spending or investing money for futuristic systems coming out in those segments, which are going to be completely self-reliant and indigenous.
Thank you, sir.
Before we move on to the next question, there are a few questions on the chat. First question is, why is the tax rate at 30% despite, the overall tax rates in the country have come down to 25%? And the second question is, out of the R&D that we've spent in the last 4 or 5 years, what are the major projects or technologies that we've been able to localize, and how is that going to play out in terms of growth for us going forward? And what are our targets for R&D spends over the next 3 to 4 years? Similarly, on CAPEX, what are our CAPEX targets for the next 3 to 4 years?
Answer the first tax rate. I will answer on the tax rate, then CMD will brief you on it. But all be indigenized. See, this year we migrated to the new tax regime, where with all cess and all, the tax rate is some 25.64%. But as we were carrying a lot of deferred tax assets, that was the condition, those were to be reinstituted at the rate of 25.64, which previously deferred tax assets were, at 34% or something like that. Now it was, after a lot of analysis and all, we took a conscious decision to migrate on this. So this year our effective tax rate has been 29.62. But next year it will come down. It will to around 26% or so. So that's the reason why the tax rate is 25.64, our effective tax rate is 29.62. And I will ask ED Finance if you further contribute.
Another change that has come in income tax law is that earlier they used to give us 150% benefit for R&D expenses.
Yes.
Which is now reduced to 100%. So these things have an impact for this year. but next year the change will be apparent in reduction in the rates.
That is on the tax side. Now, CMD sir.
Yeah. Coming to our thrust on R&D, the board reiterated even yesterday during the discussions that board gives good emphasis on reinvesting in R&D and ensuring that we develop more in-house and indigenous products for the both services and for civilian segment. So our commitment is 10% of our revenues to be put back into investment in R&D. However, this year it is lower. I think it is little less than 7% or so. We are confident that the new programs what we have initiated in R&D will overtake in the coming years. Again, our investments levels will be going. So some of the investments we have made in R&D today, we are very happy that we are able to make tanks having full night vision capability. Today, we have a whole range of products which are export worthy, which we are now supplying to the Indian forces. This is the outcome of the in-house R&D as well as R&D with investment of R&D with DRDO. So today, all tanks which are being used by the Indian Army, the commander sites, the gunner sites, the navigation equipment, and EVO-based fire control systems are all completely indigenized. It's a great achievement for us. And something like coastal surveillance, the EVO sensors are completely indigenous now. Then, as I told, in homeland security and smart city, the entire command control system is out of Bell's own architecture, Bell's own intellectual property right. So similarly, we have participated in a competitive tender, close-in weapon system for Air Force. It's a huge budget project, and the radar sensor in that, the command control communication is completely out of Bell's own indigenous effort. So similarly, we are putting our R&D and our investments into smart ammunition. We are already there in electronic fuses for ammunition. We now started working on smart ammunition. You are aware that we have already gone into the seekers business for missiles, both in RF and IR seekers. So these are all the big investments what we have done in R&D, which are going to transform the products mix more towards indigenous products. And I'm sure coming years government will be banning many of the further equipment what Bell is able to make under negative import list, and that will benefit us in a very big way.
Okay, so thank you, sir. So the next question is from Bharti. Bharti, you can unmute yourself, please.
Thank you for the opportunity. So a couple of questions. Firstly, to carry forward on the R&D side, can you help me understand how much of the R&D spends are routed via P&L and how much would be capitalized?
Yeah. Can you give that figure?
873, we have about that.
1 minute, madam, we are giving my executive director.
Last year, our total R&D expenditure was about 873 crores to be precise, out of which about 60 crores was towards capex in R&D. Remaining was revenue.
So when we are in this financial year and going. Hello.
I just think, as a lot of money is going to the revenue side, as our intellectual manpower is our strength in R&D. So capex is of course on the 60 crore side, but the majority is going on this engineer side.
Got it. And just to carry forward this further, given that our R&D spends are going to increase to roughly say 10% then and our guidance of margin expansion to 20 to 22% range, this takes into account the increase in the R&D spends, right?
Yes.
Okay. Sir, my next question is on the civil side. So when we say that our target is on the civil and as in defense and non-defense side is 75-25. So what will be the non-defense portion currently? And a second question on the non-defense side is, earlier you mentioned that you've signed an MOU with Delhi Metro for design and development partnership. So what kind of equity partnership will BEL have? As in, what kind of funding does BEL have to do for growing its non-defense business?
Yeah, I will explain to you the MOU with Delhi Metro. There we are developing products for the future metros which are going to be established in the country. The intellectual property is going to be shared. So the investment is going to be made in the research and development 50-50% from both Delhi Metro and BEL. But the production of the products and the delivery is going to be from BEL only. It is not that Delhi Metro is going to start any production unit for producing these products. So production will be with BEL, whereas the IP will lie with both the parties. And for the investments Delhi Metro is making, a royalty-based methodology will be worked out with them for the successful completion of the project.
So what is the scope? What kind of products are we developing? Is it, say, signaling telecom related or coach related or anything else? What is the scope that BEL has in this project?
Yeah, we are developing signaling telecom related, traffic management, as well as on the platform, the doors which open when the metro comes and when the metro leaves. So these paraphernalia is being developed jointly with the Delhi Metro.
Madam, just to add, there's a very small fraction of this business already which we are supplying to many metros is the XBIS.
Yeah.
That is X-ray baggage inspection systems. We have supplied to Kochi Metro, Nagpur Metro, Pune Metro, and many which are new metros coming. So in all the segments of the metro, like this telecom-based signaling system or automatic fare collection system, the door closing system, BEL is now entering the I would say with the bang in the years to come.
Yeah, yeah.
And so what will be the overall capex that we will be doing for growth in the civil? So total capex guidance for BEL, and within that, how much would be towards defense and how much would be towards non-defense?
Madam, at the moment, it's very difficult to tell you in the very clear terms. Like as I told, now we are looking for a suitable partner for putting up the lithium-ion cell manufacturing. There, the investment required will be 500 to 1,000 crore, depending on the partner, whether he's bringing only technology or the equity also, etc., etc. So, at the moment we are debt free. 10,000 crores is our net worth. So we have an immense leveraging power. Only depending on once we finalize the contract. So all this lithium-ion will be in the non-defense side. So it will be difficult to give you clear figures at the moment, but we have lot many plans.
And all these.
Yeah,
please. Yes.
No, sir, you can continue on the defense side capex.
Sir, you would like to say something?
Defense, I think 500. Huh?
Madam, we are establishing a new EW factory in Hyderabad. We are establishing a new electro-optic factory in Nimaluru near Machilipatnam. We are establishing for electronic fuses, ammunition-based products, and e-vehicle battery segment in Nagpur. Then we are constructing a factory in Anantapur. So 4 factories, new factories are under expansion plan of BEL today, and each one of them have got a capex outlay of about 200 crores. So it is about 800 crores, and this money could not be spent in the previous year for lack of the labor force in these factories, while the contractor could not retain the migrant labor. So now after the vaccination, the people are started coming back, and we expect in next 12 to 18 months time, these factories will get completed, and they are going to add to the new product lines.
In fact, what CMD said, these are all our the thing where we are building up from the scratch. But we have leased the Tamil Nadu explosive, where we are already starting in this year our the projects we have got in the ammunition segment.
So this 800 crore will be spent over, just last part, Jonas. This 800 crore would be spent over two financial years, or it should be done within this financial year itself?
It will be two financial years. And it
so
will
just
also
last
depend now how this third wave will disrupt. If it doesn't, because we would have done by this financial year if we could not have lost last 1.5 years. So all this migrant labor has gone and construction has become difficult. So if everything remains good in the 2 financial years, we start production there at Nimaluru. Nagpur.
In fact, the Nimaluru plant is going to be dedicated on the 75th year of independence.
This August, yes.
So we are looking for dedicating that plant, commemorating the 75 years of independence.
Got it. And so just last part on the lithium ion manufacturing, are we partnering with some company or as a technology partner, or it's a completely in-house developed product?
Yeah, we are establishing shortly within this year a pilot plant for manufacturing lithium ion cells. The technology of these cells is given to us by DRDO. However, we wanted to enter into tie-up with a big company who can bring in both technology and capex along with our partnership. So that's what we are looking for it. We are working towards that. We will not be able to reveal details unless we come to a certain level of understanding, which will give comfort to our partner also.
Correct.
Thank you.
The next question is from Gopal. Gopal, you can unmute yourself, please.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. Sir, few years back, actually, government has given that notification on reducing the margins from 12.5% to 7.5%. Can you just tell us how much is the current order book is still on the older margins, and will this impact our future margins? And the current margins, if I understand it right, is like PBT margins are at 14% X of other income. So how should we look at it in the future?
Yeah. First of all, I think this question is basically misguided. You always look for what was on the old margins, profitability given later on 7.5 and all that. But if you see all our profitability figures, these are in the range of 15 to 20%. How we do it? It's not that government is giving one project on the nomination basis at the 7.5%. Still, we are able to make some 10 to 12% on that. As I explained you, when we took this contract, there was a lot of import content which we, with our indigenous, all this 800, 900 crore what we invest, the outcome of that we are able to do the indigenization and increase the margin and contribution. That is one. Second, my break-even sale is around some 8,000, 8,500 crores. And my contribution, as you see, the gross margin is some 43%. So after that, whatever additional business I bring, it increases my overall margin. So that is my take on this, that it will not affect BEL's profitability figures. We will be continuously meeting around EBITDA margin in 20 to 22%, whether we have got it on the nomination basis or through the competitive routes. It's a good mix, and BEL is continuously evolving to maintain the not only the top line guidances but the bottom line also.
Yeah,
that's my take.
And a lot of cost reduction techniques are also being applied continuously, and we try to achieve them. Even if we get it on nomination basis with a lesser margin, we try to see that the margins.
Then our effective supply chain management, etc., increases the margin.
So we should be able to maintain these kind of margins even if that mix changes, right?
Yes.
Yes.
We have maintained over the years. You see,
we have
margin almost around 21% of that.
Right.
Last year, whatever guidance CMD sir had given last year also on the double-digit growth on the turnover and 20 plus minus 1 EBITDA margin, we have improved upon both the things. Of course, 9.6 we take it around double-digit just because of the COVID.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir.
And also you see, not only these two figures, if you see our return on net worth, we are returning on around the 20%, return on capital is around 25%. So, the resources that we have got, we are exploiting it in a much smarter way.
Yeah, yeah.
I think,
so just last one question from my side, sir. So this is to the to DF. Sir, in the current year in FY21, we've seen a huge increase in current, other current assets and an increase in other current liabilities. So just wanted to understand in that increase of almost 3,000 crores in the current assets, how much of this is contract assets and how much of this is due to advances to vendors? Because I assume that you are executing LRSAM, which requires a lot of advances to vendors. So if you can give us a broad rough cut breakup of increase in contract assets, that will be great.
Yeah.
And the other is on the liability side, the customer advances, because our order inflows were quite decent this year.
Yes.
Is that increase primarily completely attributable to customer advance?
Yeah, correct. See, so far the contract assets are concerned, these have a lot of contract assets of the previous year got converted in the bills and then we could realize. So almost they have remained in the same range, it's around some 4,500 odd crores. And as you know, the contract assets are coming because of the milestone achievements. But as we keep on getting our advances in the stage advances, etc., so it doesn't affect that much financially. Of course, our endeavor is to convert those milestones as to reach the particular milestone of the contract. And as there was very good inflow of the orders in the previous year, which was around some 16,000 odd crores, 15,000 odd crores. So of course, good amount of advances also came. And but all these, as you are seeing, our inventory increase. So these advances are against the material procurement, etc. So they go into this our inventories and the sundry debtors and contract assets. They all are getting assimilated there.
Got it. Thanks a lot, sir. And this was the last question. And thank you for taking time out. And all the very best for the next years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jana.